So this episode is for the business owner making great money, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 a year and more, but you still feel like you're broken time, energy, and peace. So I am going to break down how to create leverage in your business and in your personal life, how you don't need to hustle more, you just need leverage. Now listen, if you're not already at the place where you're making that type of income, this episode is still for you, because I want you to take a ton of notes and jot down exactly what you need to do and what you're going to do once you reach those income levels and once you get your business to that level. Come on inside, it's going to be a great one. So welcome back to the channel, everyone. As you know, my name is Jamil Frazier. I'm the founder of Think Life is Different. And this episode is going to teach you not only how to create leverage in your business, but how to create leverage in your personal life. And I brought on somebody who's near and dear to me, who is not only our COO, but is my life architect. Literally nothing happens in my life without this woman you are going to meet. So Sabrina May is the Chief Operating Officer for Think Life is Different, but nothing happens literally in my entire life without her fingerprints on it. She not only runs our businesses, Think Life is Different, Healthy Habits, she oversees our investments, she oversees my real estate, she oversees my, literally, you name it, she has her fingerprints on it. So what she's going to do is she's literally going to give you an insight to not only what day-to-day looks like in my life, how we run my life, how we run our businesses, how we run our investing projects, how we invest in international real estate, but she's also going to give you the tips and the tools. So this is an episode where you want to take a whole bunch of notes, because we're going to break down for you and give you the framework and the blueprint on how you can scale your business, how you don't have to necessarily work harder. You just need to learn to work smarter. So Sabrina May, we are in the building. What's up, girl?
Hello. I'm excited. Thank you so much for the introduction. Yes, I feel like I'm just kind of integrated into the framework of the Frazier family. It's been exciting. I'm excited about talking more about what we're going to share today.
I am too. I think when we think about business owners, I think, a lot of times business owners, especially me, can be more of the visionaries, right? So like we think really high level, but a lot of what we also see is what holds us back is getting in the minutia of all of these day-to-day items and trying to figure all this stuff out. So maybe tell these guys a little bit about like where you have your fingertips, what you actually do, not only for the companies, but what you do for me as well and my family. And let's give them the game. Like, let's tell them step by step how they can start to increase their business, their revenues, but also how they can take a lot of pressure off of their personal lives.
I mean, how much time do we have? So yeah, this position is definitely one that can be very interesting day to day. I started off with going in and with a set framework of where I want to go for the day. But really it's about just where it is that you need me and where the business needs me. And then sometimes, there's a little bit of back and forth of, just looking at making sure that you are not going in and doing your own things, like looking at your DMs or your invoices. And this is kind of where that boundary becomes very difficult for business owners like you. And so it's, you want your hands in things, but and to let go of that is really hard. And so I think that what we're going to talk about today is going to kind of help people understand what it is that will help set them up so that they don't feel so stuck. And I have to do all these things and I have to work all these hours but I have all this talent and I have all these visions and this is what I want to do, but I don't know how to do it. And, and so you and I talk about that all the time. You're the visionary. And then I'm going to come in and say,
Right.
let's
This is
talk
how
about
we do the
how
thing.
that can be done. It might not happen like that, like
Yeah.
you want it. Um, but really just, if even when you're looking at deals that you want to close, I mean, for years before I even officially started working for you, you were messaging me and calling me and saying, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And I was like, "Oh, it's questionable,"
Mhm.
um, or I'm not convinced, where you're just like, the visionary is like, let's do it, let's do it, let's do it, and gets excited right away, but then when it starts to slow down, then that is where you start to lose that passion for whatever that is. And then you move on to the next thing. And so this is where I kind of help you take a step back.
So let's dive into it then, because
Mhm.
business owners are really good at starting things, but there's a
Yeah.
lot of different parts of businesses. And I think one of the problems, like even with my first business, I remember wanting to scale our revenues and wanting to scale my income, but I got stuck. And I got stuck because I was trying to do so much stuff on my own. And I was like, how come we can't get past these certain numbers? And then I had to realize, well, there's just one of me. So when we are even looking at my businesses, even Think Life is Different. So a lot of business owners are small business owners, and they're trying to wash the dishes. They're trying to do the cleaning. They're trying to do their own payroll. They're doing their own marketing. They're doing their own posting. They're doing their own
Mhm.
hiring. They're literally doing everything, right? So if they were to start a business, what would you say like the first 5 hires would be for a business owner, so they could take these roles out of their hands and now start handing it off to other people within the organization?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I remember when we first had this conversation, just when you were kind of setting up the vision of what Think Life is Different expansion looked like a year and a half ago, right? And so I came to you with this really big diagram. And you were like, I don't understand this. What does this
Right.
mean? Because from an operations perspective, we come in and we say, what do you want? And then here's the areas that you need if to accomplish those things. So if you want somebody to really be kind of watching your email, doing your scheduling, preparing your invoices, following up with different things in your life, as well as, what does it look like in your back end system and how are you doing those processes, then you have to have the administrative part. So
Mhm.
you have to have the operations person that is coming in and administratively handling those back end tasks for you so that you're not going in there and trying to do it all yourself, as well as going out and making the sales.
Mhm, mhm.
So because you can bring in revenue, but if you're not leveraging other things, then you're just getting paid more for doing a job.
Yes.
So whereas you have somebody coming in there to support you, and then you can go and focus on the things that you really want to focus on. So it's really about just having that person help manage your inbox, your schedule,
Mhm,
the things that really you don't need to have your hands in.
mhm.
Because as a business owner, you want to run the not the operations, but you want to run the revenue. You want to run the revenue and bring it
Right.
in, right?
Run the revenue.
You
So things
Yeah.
like like even look at my day. So one of the first things that we did was get a person that could like do the emails, do the scheduling, like you said, do the invoices, do like the operations person that
Mhm.
takes all that stuff out. If you want to expand the business, you doing your own emails, you
Mhm.
doing your own invoices, you doing your own scheduling, you doing your own
Mhm.
follow-ups, all that stuff that you
Yeah.
mentioned are things that you want to hand off to other people. So I would say number one, probably getting that operations person. So for us, we have several of those folks, right? So I mean, you're a part of that.
Yep.
We have a team in India led by Nambi, who's a part of that. We
Mhm.
have um, we have whole backend systems that we'll talk about now, really led by I would say, first Sebastian kind of like was heading that part, and now exclusively it's like Lou, but you have your fingertips on that too. So when it comes to all that stuff, though, we want to hand that off, right? All right, what's
Yeah.
next? Let's talk about
Yeah.
maybe what's the next hire that a business owner will probably want to have.
So typically you would want, so then you look at the diagram and you've got your admin, you've got your sales. And so we'll talk about sales next, because some of the people that you just talked about flow into this area, as well as our marketing, which is going to be something else that we'll talk about too. But, really the sales portion, what we found with you is you were doing everything as far as it came to sales. So you were coming up with the scripts, you were coming up with the decks, you were coming up with what to say to, or the different packages. And so in tandem with me coming on, we get to really look at branding and making it professional. And then also just making sure that there's people there to support you in the sales process. So we needed somebody to come in and set the calls. We needed somebody to come in and kind of set up those appointments. And so that's where we have Linda, who comes in on your DMs, and she is really kind of creating that role where she's communicating with different people that are following you, and then setting up times to have a call specifically with you. And so she's kind of in that initial sales setter role. And then we also have a phone setter too, where they come in and they're looking at people that are coming in and looking at who's attending our webinars. They are looking at who's signing up for our mailing lists, and they're going in and calling those people, finding out what it is that they're really wanting in their life and what they're needing from a financial perspective, and then setting up time with you. And then we also have marketing. So we have the reminders that go out, we have the emails that go out. And so that kind of flows from sales into the marketing aspect. But we also have, that back end system that's also kind of monitoring the interactions that we have with the people, with our contacts and our leads. And so, we really don't want you being the person that has to set those things up or worry about that stuff, even though you still do sometimes. It's that art of letting go. I think there's a book. Isn't there a book called that?
Which is really good. I think even the pause there, because we're speaking specifically, the business owners or people that aspire to build businesses, and even even just high income earners. But usually you get to that place of where you start to be successful because you're like really driven and motivated, and you're probably a little bit like a hands-on type of person. But I think the goal is to let go, is to hand these things off to people who are also very, very talented and brilliant, and move out of the way. I think what we see is you don't necessarily want to have a job. You want the business to be able to run in spite of you. So even when we go back to sales and we talk about sales, in every business that I've had, I've always have started off being like the number one salesperson. And then the goal is to slowly or even quickly move yourself out of that role. So even in my last business, I did all the sales. And then I expanded the system with 4,000 plus salespeople, right? So like it wasn't just me. So sales are always happening, even if I don't get up out of bed. And that's the same thing that we're doing now, is expanding the system to where eventually, every sale that gets done does not need to get done by you, Mr. and Mrs. Business Owner. Marketing is interesting because marketing, you talked a little bit about the back end system, which is a whole freaking topic in itself, Sabrina. But it also includes like editing and branding, like you said, and social media, which is a big one now. Maybe talk about how can these guys go about setting up different marketing teams? We've even hired people to just follow me around with a camera. Like, how should they be thinking about this? And how do they actually go out and like find these people to do the editing, uploading, captions, platform switching, branding, like all that stuff? How do they do that?
Yeah. So, gosh, you just said, how do you find these people? Well, sometimes you have to. Here's the thing: as a business owner, if you're starting out in the business and you want to go and find the perfect person, sometimes that doesn't happen right away. And sometimes you'll have people that will reach out to you. I mean, we have Lou. He reached out to you, and he's young and creative, and he's been great. And he is, going out there. He's setting up our ads. He's setting up our back end system. He's looking at workflows. He's hungry, and so finding someone like that is a diamond in the rough. And so sometimes you have to go through several iterations of people, where you have to understand their personalities and their work methods, and if they align with what you expect. And so, there's a lot of content editors that are out there overseas, in the States. How much do you want to spend? And sometimes you don't even know what that looks like. Like, I don't know what this industry is expected to put out, or how often we get messages, or how often we get content. How often should we upload content? So we're hiring experts, so different people in the industry that are influencers, that we are following and trying to gain more knowledge. So there's one thing that we have to do. We have to educate ourselves. But then we also need to go and try out some people. And so we've done that. We've gone through multiple iterations of different editors, video people. The other thing too is, when you mentioned having someone follow you around, you have to decide as a business owner, is that what your business requires? And is that what you want? And, so for you're a private person, typically, people wouldn't know that when they're looking at your social media, but in reality, it's something that you have to decide. Is this something that I really want? Is somebody to follow me around? Or do I have a day of the week that I come in and have someone recording me? Initially, what you had identified was, because you're following an influencer, we got advised, we signed up for, a deal where we could get some education and around content creation.
Sure.
And it was, have somebody follow you around 24/7.
Right.
And
Predator.
Your personality, you wanted that. You're like, yeah, I don't want to have to film all this stuff. But then when you actually had it, you're kind of like, I don't know if I want somebody that into my life, And so then you decide, do you need to do that all the time, or do you need to condense it down into a couple days, or one day a week where you come in and have somebody do that for you.
Sure.
But as an influencer, you're always going to have people reaching out to you. If you're posting about your business, running ads, anything like that, you're always going to have people reaching out and being like, hey, I can do this for you. Sure. And so then you kind of have to have some discernment around how often you're like, oh yeah, okay, like send me something, and then what you do with that. And so, but that's where your admin, your operations, they come in to help you make those decisions. But we talk about just the posting. So when you have someone that's helping you post, they also have to learn who you are, and they have to learn your product a little bit, just to understand what you want and how you want to edit. But then this is also where the art of letting go comes in. And, where as a business owner, you have to also understand that not every content creator or editor is going to edit the same. And so there's going to be some back and forth on, well, these are the people that I like. So it's helpful when you understand and you kind of have your own little toolkit of, these are the people I follow, these are the people I like their content. And so this is kind of what I want to build it around, my brand. And then you go and tell those people that are editing for you, like, this, create like this. And so sometimes there's a back and forth. I think that the marketing piece can be one of the most frustrating pieces of the business, because it's your brand, it's your baby, it's your vision. And you have an idea of what you want that to be. And so you have to find people that can align with that. And
Sure.
really, the alignment of all of these roles is important, but really working cohesively with these roles in marketing and branding for you is important, and to have them understand that. So, finding the right people, and there's turnover in it. So sometimes you have to switch people out just to go and find someone else and find the right person. So, I think that this is important. I think we've had several people in the role of email editing, uploading, formatting, even with our webinars,
Sure.
people that are helping us manage those. We've been switching it up, and, we're just starting to kind of get into a good flow.
Mhm.
And so that can take time. So the patience, that's really important. But it's important for everybody in this role to understand what your message and your brand is,
Mhm.
and not be all in the minutia of everything.
Yeah. So bottom line, like, you should not be doing all of those things. You
No.
shouldn't be like
Mhm.
posting, you shouldn't be editing, you shouldn't be, putting captions on. You shouldn't, like, you want to outsource those things to people in teams that take care of that. Social media managers. We've had multiple social media managers. We
Mhm.
we currently have multiple social media
Yeah.
managers, right? So DMs. I'm not doing my own DMs. We have automations that I'm sure that we're going to talk about that does a lot of the DMs, but then we have real people that do DMs too. So, like, all of that stuff. So
Mhm.
the sales teams and the marketing teams, for sure, you want to take yourself slowly out of those positions. You want to build teams and systems and people that can do those things, so that you focus on the very, very high leverage activities. Like, I don't want to have to think too much. And the other thing that I would say, and this is where operation comes in again, Sabrina, is even when you find those people and you build those teams, you need standard operating procedures,
Mhm.
SOPs, to give them workflows and expectations to how all of those things are supposed to go. When do we post? What is our material actually supposed to look like? What is our, I guess, our processes and stuff like that? And that's where operations comes in. So that's why you kind of need all of those people. All right. So next, now that we have our operations teams, we have our sales teams, now we have our marketing team. What's next? What is the next hire you would say that's like really important for these people to start handing off to other folks?
Well, so we have who's going to help you make some of those decisions and leverage that, and that's going to be your COO. And I don't know if this is going to be the fourth person that you're going to hire, or the first person that you're going to hire, because because when you kind of get into some of those things, this is where we run into. All right, I've hired all these people and it's not working. And then you go and you hire a COO, and then they're like, oh, well, wait, we need to change some things up. So let's backtrack. So
Sure.
really, this person is important from the get-go in starting up your brand, and really understanding what your vision is, and then also, where do you want to be in that vision. So it's not always about the owner being the salesperson,
Hmm.
because really, if you're the visionary and you've always been the salesperson, because you're good at it, your brand, what you want, and you know how to posture it with people to key into what it is that they need
Mm.
and to solve their problem. So, but do you really need to be that person that makes the sale? And, so this is where I get to come in and I get to say, you're spending a lot of time on these calls. And really, we want you to help coach the people. And we want you to be in these groups with our clients and helping to guide them and educate them. And so is that really where we want you in the sales? And so then we start to, so strategically, I'm coming in and looking at where you are spending your energy and your time, and not where you're not chasing everything, and you're not going around and trying to figure out that everything's working. Instead, you're focused on, who do I need to work with now to help improve their life? And, and helping you be that visionary, so that if anything else comes up, then we can implement those things too. Because when you have your hands in all the things that you've had your hands in,
Mm-hmm.
you burn out. And then you're just kind of like, why am I doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And where you wanted to create freedom in your own life, you're now stuck and bogged down, and you're not spending time with your kids. You're not spending time with your wife. You're now just in your office all the time, or filming content constantly, which is what you're trying to get away from as a business owner, so that you can have more freedom and you have your people working for you and creating that for you for your business.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so it's really the COO who's looking at your whole operation is really protecting your time and protecting the process and the brand. And so it's very important too, like, what is the brand and
Right.
what does that look like? Is it professional? And, you and I are, we're two different entities in this part, because, you'll put things, you love just throwing stuff out there, and where I come in and I'm like, whoa. Like, wait, this needs formatting. This needs some stuff. And then you're like, stop. Like, why do I have to do all that? And so
Right.
as a visionary, that is where you should be, but then that's also why you brought me on. And so I get to protect our entity,
Yes.
and, make sure that it's showing up in a way that we want it to show up, and with our clients, with our webinars, with anywhere that we're putting ourselves out there. And so, because I want to help you not have to work so hard, but to have systems and people in place so that we can be more efficient and effective as we start rolling things out. Also, as you run into wanting to invest in more things, and create more brands, then I get to be that sounding board as well.
Mm-hmm.
Again, coming in and saying, okay, so this is what I'm thinking about doing. What do you think?
Yep.
And you might, and just like with Amanda, your wife, you're like, hey, babe, look, this is what I'm thinking of. And she'll be like, I don't know. And Amanda and I have become very close in this whole relationship, because we're like, what? So he's thinking about doing what? And, so it's kind of fun just to have that dynamic, to be able to understand where your business is, where your energy is, because then we get to know, like, what's going on in Jamil's mind right now. Like, what is he focusing on? And, just some of the the land developments that you're thinking about doing, and
Mm-hmm.
that you're working on with different partners. And, those are different things outside of what Think Life is different. Financial coaching is,
Sure.
it's creating new brands and working on those things too. And so that's where I get to come in and just kind of help protect all of that, as well
Mm-hmm.
as your time and where you're spending it. Because as you build those brands, then we will need more people to take care of, the coaching aspect.
Yep.
And so
So,
then also just overseeing what everybody else is doing, and having an insight into, you need a strong person who can come in and look at everything from a whole perspective, an umbrella. So
mhm.
basically the umbrella of the operations and how's it working, as well as, I kind of play a dual role. Not everybody has this. Some people have a personal assistant, so as well as the operations assistant and
Mm-hmm.
then the operations person. When you're starting off, you might have somebody coming in doing multiple roles, like I have been doing,
Good.
where we're also touching on your family,
Mm-hmm.
so doing things like, your personal calendars, signing your kids up for high school, and things like that, and working with your wife on vacation time and things, that are affecting your personal schedules and your personal life too. So, you've got to kind of balance all of these different things with these different roles.
Yeah, this is good. So essentially, somebody who can allow you to focus on the things that you really need to be focusing on, taking a lot of decisions off of your plate so that you can stay in your zone of excellence. Right. And I love that. Okay. What's next? So the fifth hire, I got my business. I find myself bogged down. I never have any time. I'm always exhausted. I'm always in the field. I'm thinking about some of our students right now that run great businesses, but these dudes are doing everything. Like even me listening to them, I get exhausted from hearing all of the stuff that they're doing. So what's the fifth hire that people want to start to think about as they are now leveraging off and handing off some of these responsibilities?
Yeah. So, gosh, this is an important role, but it's not necessarily somebody that's on your staff, and it's more of the advisory board,
Mm,
and so you've got your people that are doing the strategic task level work for you, but then you've got the people that are kind of helping you make decisions
mhm,
too,
mhm.
or helping your clients move forward the way that we do in our financial coaching. And so really we're looking for people that we can ask ourselves, like, who should I go out and ask this question?
Right.
Or who knows it better than I do? And so this is where you've got your CPA, you've got your attorneys, anybody that you're investing in different ventures with.
Mhm,
You've got your financial advisors, your specific people that are experts in their area.
mhm.
And, so we have several of those people that we work with on a regular basis. And so we'll pull them in. And even so, for the work that we do, when we bring our coaching clients in, our group calls, and we have our mastermind sessions, this is where our advisory board gets to shine. And so we get to have them come in and talk about their expertise. We recently had our CPA come in and talk about the end of year tax prep, and man, that session was gold. And so Matt did an amazing job with all of the clients and the questions that they had. And this is stuff that you have to go and pay people to give you advice, and over time, and you pay for extra sessions and things like that, and where our clients come in and they're getting it as part of the benefit of their package, and they get it throughout the year. And so when you have this type of advisory board, you're really kind of, it's almost like they're a business owner with you or partner, but they're really just that consultant, and
Yes.
where you can bounce things off of them on what you're thinking about doing.
Mhm,
And it's just kind of another level outside of your COO, where, hey, I'm thinking about doing this venture. What do you think about this? And so this
mhm,
is where your attorney comes in and they're like, I mean, we've done it with our contractors, where
mhm.
we're like, hey, we have this business idea that we might do. Can you tell us what this looks like? And then we hear all the legal information about it, and we're like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, this is way more detailed and intensive than what we expected. So we've got to kind of look at this a little bit more in depth. And
Yeah.
so, that's where your board of advisors come in and are going to be
Yeah.
the
I
people
think
that.
some of the most important people you can have as a business, I call it professional leverage. When you look at,
Mhm.
I mean, you look at our advisors, there's three people specifically that we go to before we want to make a move in investing or expanding the business. We have business managers, we have business attorneys, I have intellectual property
Mhm.
attorneys, we have you mentioned CPAs. Like we have a whole sort of host of people that we partner with to help us move into again take this stuff out of my brain. I don't have
Mhm.
to think about it. put on them, get their expertise, and then be able to integrate that into what we're doing. I mean, when you talk about, trying to, we we want to go from doing all this stuff on our own. Like, here's
Mhm.
what I always say: things need to get done, they just don't need to get done by me. And it's a whole different type of way of thinking, right? Like, it's just a different mindset that you have. So that professional leverage is really important. I have something here: smart business owners don't ask, what do I think? They ask, who should I ask? Right. And so you
Mhm.
just shorten the gap of time between things get done. So I love that. So when or anything else from the business standpoint, even things that we do, are just advice that you can give these business owners. They're doing a good job. They're making 100,000 a year, 200,000 a year, but they are swamped. I guess from a business perspective, anything else that they can do to start, and maybe just even specifically from what we do, to where they can leverage a lot of their activities. Maybe talk a little bit about, I would say automations is something that we kind of touched on, maybe in the branding and the marketing. But from my last business to what we do now, the automations in the back end is like night and day, right? Maybe explain a little bit about how they can bring in AI, which is
Mhm.
something that we have done in the past and we're currently doing right now. And maybe talk a little bit about automation and how that will take a lot of pressure off of what they're doing as well.
Yeah, and it's still a learning process, but I know one of the things when I first came in, there was just a lot of manual messages and manual things that, oh, okay, so we're going to send this out, and then we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and that was, as a process background, going in and improving business processes. This is one of the areas that you want your operations team to shine, is to be able to come in and identify where the inefficiencies lie, and then where can we make improvements, and does our system allow us to do that? So we've been through a few systems too. And so know that you're not going to necessarily find the perfect system on the get go. If you do, it's amazing. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you. But if you don't, it's okay. And it just takes time and patience to be able to get it to a place where you're good with what your processes are. But it also is important to be flexible and patient with that, and know that some things that you had an idea of what it needs to be and how it needs to flow might need to change, just depending on how you work. We initially were doing 3-day challenges, and now we do a 1-day webinar, and so we had to make a lot of changes in the back end, and we're still tweaking some of those things. So really having the understanding of your system and how it works and how a workflow works and where you can automate those things. So, for
What is the
example,
workflow? Hmm.
yeah. So, for example, you have a call. So, you have a call with someone, and then you need to send a follow up out. Typically, what we had done in the past is we had a message that we would then customize, and then we would email it out. And then we would have oh, let me write it on a list of who I need to follow up with. And now we can build it in the systems as a workflow where there's a trigger of, it looks at a contact that has a call scheduled. And then once that call is done, we have fields that we're entering in. It triggers a message to go out, and then it sends the message that we want based off of the fields that we enter.
Hmm.
And likewise, when we have appointments that are scheduled with different contacts, then the system will recognize 48 hours ahead of time and let them know, we're reminding you, please confirm your appointment. And then they click a link, and it confirms that they're going to be there. And then if they don't confirm it after 24 hours, then it will auto cancel. And so, we have all of these different workflows that are in the system for the different procedures that we have in place. And so, we have our webinars that we send out links for, we send out reminders and emails, and we have our emails, that are sent out as well, our newsletters that go out. All of these things are in our backend system set up to be automated so that our hands are out of it. Now, we still have some hands in some of the things, just with payment processing and things like that, that we have in place. But we have to manually set some of those things up. And so over time, the plan is that we will continue to improve and integrate automation into that. And so that's where, again, you find out which system works best for you. If you have a high ticket sales system, then you need to, create something or work with a program that's going to be able to maintain and manage those different high ticket sales.
Right.
Same thing with, how you receive payments and things like that. You've got to understand the volume and the pricing and what system is going to work best for you.
Right. So we're talking about CRMs, and we have CRMs out there that we could use. It's like Salesforce.com. We use Go High Level, but there's a lot of back-end systems that you can use that typically is going to help you automate. Basically, if you're doing something over and over and over and over and over again, that is a clear sign that that's something that you want to look to start automating, so you don't have to do it continuously, but that a system can do it. We've integrated artificial intelligence. I'm sure this is going to be something that we do even more and more. My affinity with AI and really working even with things like my ChatGPT. But how have we integrated like AI into what we're doing now, especially when it comes to calling people and fielding calls and stuff like that?
So we use with the AI system will recognize when we have someone that comes in and they are signed up and interested in one of our upcoming webinars. And so it will contact those people and make sure that it understands certain questions that then route those people to different processes in our system. So they're going to get specific messages. We're going to ask them different questions about signing up for an appointment with us or sending them different newsletters. And it really depends on where they are based off of the questions that we ask. And so you get to also build kind of a routing with that, so that if they answer this specific message, then it might get scored in a way that it goes to this path. And then maybe they get, if it gets scored differently, then it will go down another path where they might get a phone call directly or versus an email, or things like that, where the AI comes in and does that based off of how we typically would script, how we would typically say it. Just like you were saying, like if we're doing something over and over and over again, is it something that we're going to be able to automate where AI can handle that versus us?
Yes.
And that's where AI comes in. And we love ChatGPT as well because it's so amazing what it can do and scary. And, because we know people have relationships with AI and we don't want to do that here. So what we will do is it's actually built out like everything for our operation, where we get to train it. And we get to identify, like, this is what Think Life is Different. This is what our mission is. This is where our packaging is at. This is what we do, who we help. And then we say, we're thinking about adding this on. So tell us how we would do that and give us some ideas. And it lays everything out. And then we get to pick. It'll give us like 5 different options. And then it says, hey, which one do you want? And we're like, this is what we want. And so it lays everything out for us. And then we get to tweak that, improve that process, and improve the different materials that we have, the marketing that we have. So we get to use the ChatGPT for that, and any other kind of chat AI tools, are helpful with those different types of things. And same thing with your with your podcasts and with your books and, the marketing that we put in place, we are running that kind of, it's one part of our advisory board,
It
basically,
really is. It's part of that
right?
professional leverage that we talked about.
Yeah. So we are putting it in there saying, hey, this is what we're thinking about doing. Is this typical? Same thing when you hire people. We aren't sure what to pay somebody or how to compensate a specific role, for
Mhm.
example, or a setter role. How do you compensate those people? What type of responsibilities do they have? And so we will put it in. And because it knows who we are, as
Yeah.
Think Life is Different, then it goes in and it says, well, based on your industry, this is how you could pay. This is three different ways that you could pay this
Sure.
person. And then we decide, okay, well, which way do we want to pay? And then we put the job description out there and then we hire the people.
Yeah, it's
And yeah.
incredible. Incredible. It just makes life so much easier. And I will say this, man, and I did a podcast on this, and I actually did an op-ed on this too. But this is why, in the next 5 to 10 years, this is why AI, if you're a business owner and you don't know how to control AI, then you're gonna get left. Your business is gonna get left. The market changes so fast, and it's not going to be AI that's going to replace your business or replace your jobs. It is going to be the people that understand how to operate AI that is going to replace your business and or those jobs. So one of the things that Sabrina is talking about is like she has built her skills. I've built my skills. People in my team have really built their skills on how to control AI, how to give it specific prompts, how to basically tell it what you want it to do. And it really is another skill that I honestly hope more business owners are taking the time to learn, because if you don't learn those skills, then it is going to be rough because things change so fast. All right, so let's focus on the personal now. Now we've realized I'm taking myself out of this business. I know that in my business, I'm the bottleneck. And so what I try to do is be strategically lazy. I just try to be like, I don't know anything. Right. So, but also in my life, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's going on in our lives right now. And in my life, it's kind of chaotic. We joke, Sabrina and I joke that my life is like playing Monopoly, like just playing the game of Monopoly. Like sometimes I cross go and I win $200, and sometimes I cross go and I don't go to jail, but basically I almost go to jail or something. I don't know. But when we talk about leveraging and outsourcing our personal lives, for somebody that's making $100,000 or more, what are the areas that they can start outsourcing, that I outsource in my own personal life, that they can start doing as well? What would you suggest for them?
This is another area where you don't really need to have your hands in it very much. You're back there and you are running the business, not running it, but you're making the sales or coaching our clients, but you get to enjoy that piece of it while your home is basically running itself,
Mm-hmm.
But with obviously Amanda's help, because Amanda's a big part of that.
So what is
Huge
it?
part.
Give them an
However,
idea of what it
but
looks
this is,
like for me. What is it? What does
yeah,
it look like? Like, what am I
yeah.
doing?
So,
And what am I not doing?
oh gosh. Well, so can we get Amanda on?
Nah, there you go, good.
Yeah, you think of it from the umbrella of the home,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you're that umbrella where you're like, okay, we just moved, or we got to move, because how many moves have you had since like a year and a half ago?
Mm-hmm.
So what needs to happen? And so this is also the art of letting go, where it's like, just let me handle it. Like I'll deal with it with Amanda. And there are many times where you're like, here, do this, this, and this. And then I'm like, I already talked to Amanda, don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where you have this idea of, I want these things to happen. And again, it may not happen in your timing, but the things are in place to make it happen. And so, I mean, we're talking from a move perspective. You don't have to handle getting a mover. You don't have to handle, when they're coming. You don't have to handle how things are going to be set up. You have people that are going to do those things.
Right. I'm not
You know,
moving furniture. I'm not
you're not
putting up
moving.
uh, photo albums. I'm
Yeah.
not right. So
I
we'll
did see you
hire
change a light bulb one time, I think.
probably the wrong way, but I probably meant to.
But I was like, wait a minute, wait, I gotta take a picture of this.
Right, right. So
So,
again,
but like
things need to get done, but they don't need to
yeah,
get done by me, right? Like,
exactly.
so how do we
Yeah.
go and get the
And
people? So this is outsourcing so that I can do the things that I really
mhm,
love doing, and that are the high
right.
leverage activities, right?
And with 4 kids, there's a lot that goes with that as well.
Mhm,
So you've got a son this past summer who was going into high school, and then you've got 2 other kids that are in school that are changing schools.
mhm,
And so this also is where you have a person like me or an admin person that can come in and work with your wife on what are the details that need to happen, like which school are you looking at, where, what have you done already
mhm.
that I can help with, and then just kind of balancing that out. But also with one of the things that I know you guys leverage is grocery delivery. One of
Mhm.
my favorite things in the world to do. You don't have to go and take your 4 kids to the grocery store and spend 2 hours when you can just go online, click it, have a family cart. You can go in and add your things and then it gets delivered.
Mhm.
Somebody else is doing it for you. You can have people that there's services, tons of services out there that do meal prep,
Mhm.
or hire a chef to come in and kind of do it for you.
Mhm.
And they don't have to be there all day long. All they got to do is you say, hey, we're going to be busy on this day, this day, this day. So I need like 3 different meals that
Mhm.
are prepped that we have leftovers,
Absolutely.
and have them do that for you. You got 4 kids, man. Like even your littlest one is helping with the laundry,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
I mean, how often do you post that Jonah is doing laundry, which is the most adorable thing in the world? But so you're not only gaining content, you're gaining access to help.
It's true.
And cleaning, that's another thing. I know there's been multiple times that I've been there where the Mila and Ezra are and they're doing the dishes, and they're not all excited about doing that, but they're also learning
Right.
skills. They're learning responsibility. So you are getting help without you doing it, and you're also teaching your kids.
And
And
also we have
so
cleaning teams that come. I
yeah,
think Elvia has
yep.
been with us for 5+
A
years.
long time. Yeah, yeah. And
Mhm.
then and nannies and just different people that can help you out on a regular basis, and then also in those immediate notices that, hey, I need for you to come, can you come?
Mhm.
It's going to allow you to focus more on your business, and it it doesn't squash your creativity and being able to do that as well, because when you're now coming in, if you're walking out of your office and you see all these things that need to be done, because I know this has happened, and where you're like, oh my gosh, why isn't any of this done? Where you're not even realizing these things are happening. It is happening, but
Mhm.
just again, not in your timing. So, this is the art of letting go. I'm just going to keep repeating this, where you got sometimes that's the stuff that you don't need to worry about.
You
Sometimes
guys,
just
you
like,
guys picking up on how she keeps saying "not in your timing"? I don't know what that's all about. Why does she keep saying
I
that?
love you, Amanda. So, but it's really where the chaos that's in the home is a distraction for you,
Sure.
and as a business owner, anyone watching this, it's gonna be a distraction. If you have a mess that's out there, then you're gonna have a mess that's going on in your head, and then it's going to make a mess of your business because you're not going to be able to focus on what you want to be creative in and create your vision. And so that's going to then affect your revenue, your profits, and ultimately it'll affect your entire life.
Sure.
And so, when you have these things that are kind of taken off of your plate, including all of the people that you hire in your business, but also the people and the
That you
processes
hire
that
at the
you're
home.
building in home,
Mhm.
then you're able to have more energy and clarity in your life in general,
With your
and have
family,
that
with your
balance.
kids, and
Yeah.
all the things. I mean, everything. Leverage everything. Sabrina knows this well. Like even for travel, right? Like leverage planning the trips.
Mm-hmm.
We just maybe talk a little bit about. We just had a pretty big trip, I would say, a good
Yeah.
investment. Let's just say that. But even with that trip for like my wife's 40th birthday, maybe talk a little bit about that, because that was something that I didn't have a really big role in. I mean, I showed up and the things were done.
Typically what happens is we're in there, we're trying to research where we're going to go, what am I going to do, and this is where we get to leverage ChatGPT too. So ChatGPT will help us, like, we want to go to this side of the island versus this side of the island. And so Jamil was able to send me, like, here's kind of what I'm thinking. And it was a big deal too, because it's Amanda's 40th birthday. And so I knew that that was going to be special for her. And so that's helpful for me to understand, okay, we're going to make this good. We're going to make it special. And then, just your operations person coming in and going, okay, so you have this many days in this area, this many days in this area. Let me focus on this one first and then this one next.
Mm-hmm.
And then just being, and here's the thing, when you hire as a business owner, you hire someone to run your operations, it's very important to build trust.
Yes.
And so, that's where Jamil and I've been working together for 10 plus years.
Wow.
And I know. It's been amazing and fun and challenging all at one time. But we have trust and respect for each other. So he trusts in what I'm going to do and the decisions I'm going to make. And I protect his funds. I protect his schedule and understand that if you injure yourself a week and a half before you go on vacation,
Or
that things
y'all.
are going, things might need to be adjusted. So, that's the other thing is, we had a plan going into it, and now we have to make adjustments because physically they couldn't do some of the things that they wanted to do. But then having that relationship with Amanda where I can be like, hey, so are you wanting to go and do this? And, while he does something else. And so, so being able to go in and design that is, and helping him feel at peace about it is important, that there's that trust. He knows I'm going to get it done. I have the tools and I have the ability to go in and contact the hotels, contact the venues and things like that, where, building out that itinerary was something that they were able to have in their hands before they left and be confident that these things are going to be set up and that they're not going to, be messed up, when they go somewhere. So that's important. Also, planning a last minute, birthday dinner at the same time and being able to do those things and having the leverage and the relationship with the people in their lives personally, is important to be from an operations person's perspective so that we can go in and make it easier on them. That, like, I don't even know if Jamil really knew what was happening in the back end. It was just,
I didn't.
Hey, you got to take Amanda at this time and go to this place. And that's it. And, and then it was taken care of.
I kind of had an idea of, like, see, that's the thing, when you are leveraging, I think a lot of the times is you kind of describe what you want and then you move yourself out of it, right? Like you say, like, this is what I want, and then everything else that it takes to get that done, you like move and have systems and operations and wonderful people that can now fulfill all those things. And so it's like, oh, this is what we want. And then Sabrina will say, what's your budget? And then we'll talk about a budget, and then that's it, right? And then you show up at the thing. And I was like really excited because I thought that it was going to, specifically for the birthday dinner, I thought that it was going to be way more than it actually was. And I was like, man, this is a win, But that's the thing. You take my wife. We show up at the restaurant, all the people are there, everything is set up, all the decorations are there, the staff already knows all the stuff. I just focus on my wife, making sure she gets there, she's happy, We walk in, she feels loved and celebrated, and boom, like the thing is done. Can you imagine how much time that would have freaking taken me to do something like that? And
Mm-hmm.
that's crazy. Like I could have been at yoga, not right now because I have a torn Achilles, but you know what I mean? Like, or I could have been, thinking about, all right, we're just investing in Africa. Like, where are we going to go next? Like, are we going to go to Italy or something? Like, I could be thinking about, okay, well, what's the next partnership? So we're partnering with these people. Like, how do we get these people to come in, or how can we build a bigger package or offering? Like, who needs more? Like, that's where, or what I do a lot of the times is I'm thinking about what's the next book going to be, or what is the next chapter. Or I'm sitting and I'm writing and I'm like getting in a zone, and I just love writing, and I'm thinking about like, okay, like I'm already, to be honest with you, like it's 2000, it's about to be 2026. I'm already in like 2035. Like I already know sort of what the next iteration of probably like my life and businesses and stuff are going to be, because I'm thinking over there. So if I'm thinking over there and I got to do all this stuff over here too, nah, bro. Ain't no way. Like it ain't no way. Like I want peace. Okay, so we got cleaning stuff, laundry, meal prepping, grocery delivery. Why does this matter? Fewer decisions, more energy, more clarity, better leadership. What do I have here? I got some notes here as well. So the leverage ladder, let's talk about that really fast. Level 1 is you do everything, and this is where people burn out. You're just like surviving, man. We have mentored and coached thousands of entrepreneurs that are just so freaking tired. And it's because it's why I wrote this book right here, The Freedman and the Oak Tree, to teach you the 5 laws of leverage, like so that you don't have that, right? So then you want to start delegating tasks. Level 3 is to build roles, have clear responsibilities so that you can have predictable outcomes. Level 4 is build teams. Hopefully I didn't say that already, but teams is where it's at. Like I would rather, if somebody paid me $10, I would rather give 8 of those dollars away to like 4 or 5 other people to build a team, and me take $2 and for me to take all $10. Like that's, let me just say this again, because I don't want you to miss it. If somebody gave me $100, I would rather give $80 away and have a team and me only keep $20 than for me to keep all 100 and to do the things. Ain't no way. I will definitely take less, pay the team, build the team, like build a really kick-ass team, and then we start performing like crazy, and then eventually that $20 is going to turn to a lot more. But I would rather every day of the week, I would never just keep a whole $100. I would never do that. Never, ever, ever. But if you asked me 10 years ago, I'd be like, bro, I'm keeping the whole $100. Like, forget all this stuff. Nope. I'd rather have way more people around me that can help me, and they take the $80, I take the 20, and that's just how it is. So teams for me is first and foremost. I need teams in the business. I need teams in my personal life. I will hire, even when it comes down to nannies. You know, when we first started hiring nannies, my wife was like, I'm not sure. And I was like, we probably should get one. And then we got one, and I realized one wasn't enough. And I was like, we need 2. Why? Because we need more teams around here. We need more people so that I don't have to worry about stuff and stress about stuff and do things that I don't like doing. Like, I don't like washing dishes. I don't like doing that stuff. So I would rather have teams. Level 5 is build leadership teams and systems. And why? Because this is where you really multiply. This is where you take, maybe doing, $50,000 a month in revenue, and you turn that into 500,000, and eventually you turn that into $1 million a month in revenue, or you take your income from $10,000 a month of take-home income to $100,000 a month of take-home income, is you have leadership teams. So in my last business, we had leadership teams. And obviously, Sabrina is a big part of the leadership team that's here, but we also talked about those professional leverage pieces that we have that are part of the leadership team as well. This is how you expand. So before we wrap up this episode, man, we've been going for a little bit. Before we wrap up this episode, let me give you 10 very specific action steps for all of you guys that are business owners. You're making $100,000 or more. And this should feel doable, but not something that you're going to feel like I just absolutely like it's going to ruin my day. So number one, write down everything you did last week and then highlight what only you can do, right? Number three, everything else is a delegation candidate, meaning you can hand that off to someone else. Number four, assign a dollar value to your hour. So if you figure your hour is worth $100 an hour, write that down, whatever you feel like. Number five, stop doing work below that number. So if I feel like I am worth, let's just say $100 an hour, and I need my car to be washed, and let's just say that's a $20 an hour activity, then I would never wash my car. I would bring somebody in to wash the car because I could be doing something for that hour that's going to make me 100. And so I can pay the 20 or the 30. Does that make sense? Number six, hire part-time before full-time. And that is something that we've consistently done and Think Life is Different. Number seven, build SOPs once, not explanations daily. Number eight, remove one hero role this quarter. And this is what Sabrina kept talking about when she was saying, what were you saying, Sabrina? You kept saying one thing like
The art of letting go.
The art of letting go. That's what she's saying. Basically, what she's saying is stop trying to be a hero and stop trying to control everything, right? Just chill, bruh. Let go. Let other people handle it. She was saying that in the most respectful way possible. Number nine, create even that giggle. That giggle meant something right there. Number nine, create one personal life system this month. And number 10, ask what this looks like with the team. What would this look like with the team? So I think as we wrap up, I think business owners a lot of times just misunderstand success, or a lot of times like we'll never reach the level that we can because you're the bottleneck in your own business and in your own life. Like outsource, leverage. Sabrina, any last words before we finish this episode?
I loved like everything that we covered. I think it's so important that as a business owner, people understand it's about the art of building freedom, not about quitting your passion and doing the work. It's just doing the work differently. So choosing where your energy goes, knowing what you want and hiring the right people, building the systems, and then go and create more. So I would say if you felt uncomfortable in anything that we talked about, then it's not a warning, it's an invitation to go and create something different and do it differently. Because here's the thing is if you have felt overwhelmed in your business, there's a reason for that. It means that there's certain things that you're not outsourcing, that you're not bringing other experts in to handle for you so that you can go and focus on your passion. And so it's an invitation to come and do something different.
I love that ending because we didn't talk about that mindset piece, because that's probably the biggest block. It was for me. It certainly was for my wife, especially when we talk about outsourcing stuff here in the home. It's like, no, I'm supposed to do it all. Right? Like a lot of times we feel that way. What will that look like if I'm not doing it all? Does that mean I'm not? And it's like, bro, you gotta get over that. But that's a whole mental hurdle to being able to move into a space so where you can really expand. I love that you touched on that. So you guys, I'm so grateful that we were able to share these ideas with you. If this has brought you value at all, please consider subscribing, hit that like button, share this with other entrepreneurs and people that you love. And if you're ever wanting to go to the next level with not just earning revenue or earning income, but you want to get to a place to where you don't have lazy money and you can start investing that money into businesses, real estate, stock market, international experiences, etc., then we invite you to join our next free investing class where I break down this investing thing like for 5-year-olds and we all get to learn together. Just go on and comment below link or click the link in the show notes. Until the next time, we'll see you. Let's all say it together. No lazy money.